Hey there, it's Jill Kaufman, and I'm excited to be here with Michael Cohen, mediator, and he is going to talk about the benefits of divorce mediation. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Jill. So glad to be here.
Glad you're here. So, why don't you share the benefits of mediation?
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest things is it puts your divorce in your control. You make all the decisions yourselves, guided with a mediator, but you have the opportunity to discuss them and decide yourself versus being told what to do by a judge. And not only is that empowering, but you're also much more likely to comply with the agreement when you understand the trade-offs that you made. And usually both people are happy with the agreement after mediation. Whereas when a judge tells you what to do, I can tell you from experience, neither party is happy with the outcome.
Absolutely. And also, it's different than having your attorneys negotiate. In what way?
Well, lawyers negotiate from the extremes. So with mediators like myself, we try to find common ground. So we're encouraging conversation, we're encouraging collaboration, and there's a lot of benefits that come from that too, right? Because then the parents or the spouses learn how to talk to each other, make decisions together, they're guided, they make commitments to each other. But when a lawyer gets involved, they negotiate from the extremes. Their language is very legalese and it's very off-putting. Sometimes it sounds like the sky is going to fall, but that's just the wording they have to use. So people go to their corners and they fight it out, and it's very unhealthy.
Absolutely. I love the idea of two people sitting in the room with a neutral professional like you and working through this. What other benefits?
Kind of along those lines, it really, really helps the parents become good co-parents because the parenting plan is something that no judge or lawyer wants to even be involved in. So they're going to tell you to mediate that anyways. But when you're working with a good mediator, the mediator is helping you hear each other, understand what's important, and focus on the children. And when you do that, what I do a lot is I try to get commitments from the parents for healthy co-parenting in the future. So this is beyond some of the agreements they have to make, but they make commitments about how they're going to co-parent. And I'd like to think that down the road, a year, 3 years, 5 years, they're thinking to each other, hey, remember when we were with Michael and we were coming up with this? We both agreed to this. So let's try to continue to do this. And those commitments to co-parenting are so valuable because even after the divorce, the relationship isn't over if you have children, and you are going to see them graduate, go to activities, boyfriends, girlfriends, marriage, kids. And mediation provides a foundation of communication that allows you to do that. Whereas with lawyers, you don't want to talk to each other for months, if not years afterwards, because you really went through a war and the worst of each of you usually comes out.
Absolutely. Any other benefits of mediation that we didn't talk about?
The family, the children, when you litigate, at least in Illinois where I am, it usually takes about 18 months. And your lawyers will tell you, don't talk to each other about the divorce unless I'm there, because they don't want you to agree to something that's not in your best interest. But what that does is it drives up costs. It also creates conflict and tension in the house because you're going through an 18-month period where you're not talking to each other about the biggest issues that are on your minds. Your children feel that tension. When you mediate, the mediation process is 2 or 3 months, and the mediator is finding common ground and encouraging you to work together so the kids don't feel that tension. So it's a healthier dynamic for a shorter period of time, and then you can move on, which is really important.
Absolutely. And what about any misconceptions about
Um,
mediation?
Yeah, a lot of people think that when you mediate, you don't have legal protection. Um, Everyone you know will say, you need a lawyer to protect yourself. Well, you do have a lawyer in mediation, and it comes in three different ways. Number one, a good mediator will inform you when there's a topic that's worth understanding how a court will decide. Some of the big ones are spousal support or division of certain assets, especially when there's a disparity of income. So, in cases like that, a mediator will inform you, hey, this is a good time to consult with a lawyer. So, before we make decisions, you know what the parameters are of what you should decide so you could agree on something fair. And like many mediators, I will connect them with an amicable lawyer who will either do a free consultation or just charge by the hour so they don't have to pay an entire enormous retainer. Then, when you're all done with your mediation, you have to have a lawyer review it. Nothing's final until you're in front of a judge. So a lawyer will review it and tell you, yeah, this is equitable. This is right where a judge would find, and this is a fair agreement. So you get that assurance. And then lastly, a judge has to approve it. And in Illinois, the standard is it can't be unconscionable. So the judge is going to make sure there wasn't a major mistake where somebody didn't get what they were entitled to. So you really do have legal protection. And I'll tell you that in most cases, you really don't need legal input. For the parenting plan, you don't need any legal input. And there's only a couple financial areas in certain circumstances where it's valuable to have legal input.
So, so important for people to understand that. The other misconception, I think, some people think that when you talk about things in mediation, it's binding, right?
Oh yeah, they do. And I have to keep telling them, like, we come back to this within each session. We could go back and tweak it, and it's never final until the judge approves it. So even at the end of the process, your lawyers might review it and say, hey, I think you should get more equity to the house. The judge isn't going to approve this. And you could go back and tweak it. Until a judge approves it, it's a working, living document that we're always tweaking.
I think, though, if they sign it, it does have some legal ramifications. And so you probably shouldn't be signing anything before you let an attorney look at it.
Yeah, I mean that might vary state to state. So in Illinois, we don't sign that. It's really just a summary of the agreement. They take it to their lawyer, so it's always a fluid document. And I tell people sometimes let's have a discussion, let's see where this lands. I mean, let's understand this isn't binding, but let's because the divorce is very complicated. Everything is interconnected financially. So sometimes you just have to decide on the house to see how the budgets work, to see what alimony looks like, and to see if child support's enough. So you kind of have to just start laying the groundwork. And sometimes I'll say, like, this isn't binding, but let's just start to build this and see what it looks like. And then we can come back and adjust as needed.
Perfect. I think that is so helpful for people to know all of this about mediation. And I really appreciate your time. And where can people get in touch with you?
Oh, sure. My website is michaelsmediation.com, and you could contact me through there, or my cell phone is 224-544-9990.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Michael.
All right. Thanks, Jill.